Welcome to the Delicious Alignment Podcast, where we discuss all things self-love, body love, and food freedom. Hi, I'm Rhonda Ryder, Love Your Body coach and author of the book Delicious Alignment: How 25 Women Learn to Love and Transform Their Bodies Using Abraham-Hicks and the Law of Attraction. This podcast is designed to inspire you to connect even more with Source so you too can experience the beauty and wholeness of your spiritual and physical self at any size. Because there's nothing better than getting a direct line to your inner guidance. We call that delicious alignment. If you're ready to discover the process for experiencing the freedom that comes with learning to love and accept your body, and yes, transform it too if that's something you want, you're in the right place. Today, I am super excited to launch my first episode, an interview with the magnetic Gina Mallison. Gina is my friend, coach, and mentor, and the perfect guest to launch this show with, simply because of her infectious personality and her natural ability to teach others how to experience the true deliciousness of life. Known as the Queen of Calibration, Gina is also a law of attraction coach and the creator of the Evoke Method. The Evoke Method is one of my favorite tools to use in my coaching practice. I am a licensed Evoke Method practitioner, trained by Gina herself. Enjoy this lively discussion where I pick Gina's brain about self-love, body love, and food freedom. If you prefer video, you can watch the recording at deliciousalignment.com/podcast. Let's dive in. Hi, Gina.
Hey, how are you?
Great. Wonderful to see you. I think I see you a lot lately, especially
multiple times a week.
This week I'm seeing you maybe 4 days a week, virtually, of course. Yeah, so I'm so excited to have you on as my first guest for my podcast.
Yes.
Everything, loving your body, appreciating your body, learning how to love your body if you haven't really been in touch with that for a while. Mm-hmm. And also food freedom, all things relating to that. And I know that you coach on so many different topics. So this is definitely in your wheelhouse. You have been coaching and talking about this and so many other topics. You just,
just the full spectrum. Anything that anybody's got a wobble about. So I talk to them about.
Exactly. But I'm really excited to ask you some questions about this topic.
Yeah.
Even go a little bit deeper. And where I want to start with is your own personal story with body image and all of that stuff. I think we haven't necessarily heard all of that. So yeah.
I know, this is funny. We were just talking, like I haven't shared. Usually when people want to know my story of like before law of attraction and after law of attraction, it's like a different chunk of the story I tell. But so this is really interesting, being able to be specific on the evolution of my thoughts and feelings on my body over time. And, it's with all topics, it's still evolving. I'll never end the evolution and discovery of even more better feelings, even more freedom from this as a topic. But it goes back to when I was a kid. I remember in my mind right now, I can picture a picture of me in my little bikini when I was like 4 or 6 years old in the backyard. It was just so cute, this yellow polka dot bikini or something with flowers on it. And, but when I hit 4th grade is when I started putting on some weight. I just noticed I just had a kind of a different body shape than other people, but it really didn't bother me too much at that time. Then when I got into 5th grade, it kind of bothered me a little bit more. And then 6th grade is when I started really becoming conscious of it. Like kids would say things, and as a human, you look at other people and you compare yourself to others. It's just a normal thing about being human. And it's whether or not when you compare, you feel good about yourself, or you compare and you feel bad about yourself. And I remember in 6th grade, there was this one girl, that's when I realized, like, oh, me and this other girl are the biggest girls in school, like in this class. And like that almost kind of became my identity. And then I get into 7th and 8th grade, junior high. different group of people. I kind of went to a different school. But I experienced the same kind of thing, comparing myself to others and feeling bigger. And then I got bigger and bigger. And then when I went into ninth grade, I went into a private school where there was maybe 20 kids in the class. And at that point, I really started getting teased really bad, like, especially the boys, like I was telling you earlier, I'd walk down the hallway and the boys would go boom, bada, boom, bada, boom, like saying like how heavy my steps are. And I'm just, like, and there was a fun story to tell actually was, I remember sitting on the bench at lunchtime and this girl came up, she's a grade higher than me and she's on the cheerleading team. And she's like, hey, Gina, we think you should join the cheerleading team. And the funny thing is I knew at that point that they were kind of doing it as a joke. Like, oh, wouldn't it be funny to have a fat girl on the team? Like she probably wouldn't do it. Or if she does, she'll get made fun of. And so I had that knowing, but I still had enough confidence in myself. Like I knew I was the biggest girl in school. I knew I'd was getting teased and that hurt my feelings, but I still had this inner confidence of like, I'm a badass. Like, and there was almost like, I almost had a badge of honor being like, I know I'm amazing. And I know you guys are looking at the outer shell of me and not seeing how amazing I am. And you're losing out on something because I'm awesome. And I did have some friends too, but there was a large group of people that wouldn't allow me in the friendship group, and I felt it's because how I looked. But anyway, so I joined the cheerleading team and I loved going out there in front of everybody. And I felt like I was being an example of like, I don't care what you think of me and how I look. I'm out here cheering on the team. I was the zippiest, peppiest, most confident cheerleader of all of them. They were like kind of this sheepish, they had the great bodies, but I didn't have a great body. In fact, the first couple of games, I didn't have my cheerleader's outfit yet. So my mom and me had to get some shorts and dye them. They ended up like this olive green color and it was Kelly green. And so I knew I looked like a total misfit, but I actually wore that as a badge of honor. Like I kind of got a sense even back then, like I can show people what's possible. Like no matter how you look, you can be confident. You can get a crowd to stand up that never stood up before ever. Right. So anyways, that was my journey. What's funny is it was between my ninth grade year and my 10th grade year. It was that summer. Like at the end of ninth grade year, I just had enough. I had enough of the teasing. I had enough of how people viewed me and my body to be a limiting factor. I went in the summer with this, I'm going to show you attitude, right? And I was like, I'm going to lose a ton of weight this summer and I'm going to come back and nobody's going to recognize me. They're going to want to be my friends. And I'm going to be like, oh, where were you last year? Like there was a little bit of like wobble in there, but it was inspiring to me. So like literally that whole summer, I'm like, tell me if I'm going on too long with this story. As I'm telling it, I'm like, oh, I love this story. So
well, no, I mean, go for it. And I'm just like, so interested in how you had that inner confidence.
Yes.
Even when they were teasing you.
Yeah.
You had that.
Yeah.
Back then. That's amazing.
I know. It's really, but there were times I lost it. Going back, I even remember the first, like I had been being called like fat at school. Like this is in like late elementary, 5th or 6th grade. And people were like commenting on, and I wasn't. Anyway, my brother, who's 5 years older than me, one time at home told me I'm fat and maybe fat and ugly. I don't know. And so I remember, again, this is one of those memories I can vividly remember in my kitchen with the linoleum yellow tile floor and the yellow, going to my mom and saying, do you think I'm ugly or do you think I'm fat? And she looked at me, she's like, no, and there was like, I'm telling you, like in maybe 7th or 8th grade, like there were times where I came home and cried all night and I didn't want to be alive anymore. Like this sucks. Like, so I had low moments.
You had that also. Okay. Because I know you're a total badass, but but you're human.
Oh yeah, no. Oh yeah, yeah. No, in fact, I can remember one day in like 7th or 8th grade, I was in Spanish class and the teacher left to go to the office or something. And these 3 boys, they were the most popular, good-looking boys in school. I had a huge crush on all of them. They got the whole class laughing and taunting me. And I was just mortified. That was the day, I'm pretty sure, when I went home and I was just like, I just want to kill myself. Like that I just want to kill myself lasted a couple days, and I pulled myself out of it. Fuck this, So,
Yeah,
pardon
take
my
me
French.
back. It's okay.
Yeah. clean show.
A clean show. I don't know what it is yet. I don't know what this show is.
Yeah.
It's gonna evolve. So
Yeah.
take me back to that moment where you were like, okay, I'm going to.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yeah. So it was in the ninth grade, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. And so I didn't do anything that summer, except I was in our basement. We had like a TV room, and my dad had bought like a exercise machine. And I decided, and we had this really comfy rocking chair, that I used to sit in that rocking chair, and we had this like pantry with chips and Oreo cookies. And I used to sit in that rocking chair and literally eat almost a whole bag of Doritos and then a sleeve of Oreos. And when sitting watching Scooby-Doo or The Price is Right or whatever, I would just, right? And so that summer, I'm like, not anymore. And like, I flipped a switch inside, and I took that exercise bike, I took off the seat, and I essentially made it a recumbent bike. So I would sit in this comfy rocking chair. I had the bike out in front of me, and I literally just pedaled all day and watched TV and just like, it was.
No, I'm laughing because you made it into the rocking chair.
Yes, it's a homemade recumbent bike on a rocking chair, swivel rocking chair. It's like so funny. And because at that point there was a switch that flipped in my mind, it was just easy for me to like say no to foods. Like I literally in my mind was able to kind of trick myself that I'm full. I would think about eating, and I would literally, and I didn't know what I was doing. It just felt intuitive. Like, oh, like, well, I don't want to eat anything, so I'm going to close my eyes and pretend that I just ate a big pizza, and I'm so satisfied. I could actually taste the pizza in my mouth, and I could taste it, feel it go down into my tummy. And I literally was doing this work back then without even knowing. I was allowing myself to feel satiated. And in the meantime, back then I was counting calories and stuff. And so I'd allow myself like 8 Ritz crackers in a day, or, I would have like 3 slices of ham, or I don't know, whatever it was, and some carrots or whatever. So I just limited my amount of food, but I wasn't starving myself because I was doing these techniques to allow myself to feel satiated. My body had plenty of energy. Like it had all this stored fat to use as energy.
Well,
I really
to clarify, we're going to get into Ginas Methods, the Evoke Method, which I'm a level 2 practitioner, and love the Evoke Method. Gina's the creator of that method, and just for clarity's sake, these are some of the techniques that we'll be talking about. But it seems like you were back then using your imagination.
Yes.
That's what you're saying. You were using your imagination already at that young age.
To allow myself, when those wobbly moments came up, that I built habits about, like eating a half a bag of Doritos, I would just close my eyes and I would soothe myself with like, pretend I already ate it and felt full, like just little mental tricks, but it was really just soothing my emotions. And then I got really excited again. Like I had a knowing that by the end of that summer, 2.5 or 3 months long, that my body was going to be transformed. And lo and behold, I don't know the exact pounds, I don't remember for sure, but it's something like 30 to 50 pounds lost in like a summer, 3 months or something.
And also I like to say that this is Gina's experience, and what I have found with working with people is that once they really tap into their knowing, their inner being, they will be guided to the path that's right for them. Now it may not everyone wants to release pounds, or a lot of people want to simply learn how to love the skin they're in, love their
Yes,
bodies and appreciate their bodies. But
totally.
when you tap into inner being, when you agree,
Mhm.
Gina, you are guided to the path that's right
Yes.
for you.
Yes. Like for instance, today, if I wanted to, like, I wouldn't be able to, it's not like I would go back and let me replicate what I did. Like, this is not anything about telling anybody what to do or anything like that, or even how to imagine right or anything. But this is just my experience I had when I was young. In fact, late last year, I was like kind of getting antsy about my body and stuff. And I was like, why can't I just do what I did when I was young? It came so natural. It was so easy. I lost so much weight back then doing, but it's in that moment with the beliefs that I had when I was that age and my desire that was active at the time and the contrast I was experiencing, I followed my guidance for when I was at that time to the path that was the path of least resistance, the path of, it was actually fun. I got to watch so much TV. I didn't mind missing out on summertime. Like literally, I would like be on this bike for 8 hours a day and just moseying. I'm not like efforting. I'm just like, I'm just going to keep moving my body while I sit on this rocking chair and watch the Princess and allow myself to know and daydream about my knowing if I'm going to come back to school and be like, bam, bitches. And I did. Like, again, like somewhere between 30 and 50 pounds was lost. I went from a size, I don't even know what size I was. I think I was, because I was wearing stretch pants at the time, because I was way more than, size 13 and a kid. I couldn't even dream about getting into that at the time. And but when I came back, I want to say I was like a size 7 or an 8 or something like that. And then, got my new cheerleading uniform and I'm like, there we go. But I had this knowing, and I don't think I ever communicated, but like, I'm the same person. I just look different on the outside, So, and it just,
Great. So now let's fast forward to
yes.
the present, and you are a phenomenal coach, and you have a group coaching, private coaching, thriving practice, created the Evoke Method, and you have worked with people on all sorts of topics.
All sorts of topics.
Yes. So what I want to talk about is, what have you discovered, Gina, over this time with this topic, with working with people, helping them feel better? I know your work is a lot about feeling better, because that's what I'm in your program, and I'm loving it. Tell me what you have discovered so that our listeners, anyone who would like to, feel better about their bodies, learn how to stop criticizing themselves about what they see in the mirror or their food choices, all of that. Some people who want to lose weight, some people who just want to love themselves as is. What have you discovered about?
Lots of different things. So I'll probably jump all over the board with this. So you can rail me in or rein me in.
I can rail you in. I'm good at that.
Yeah. So a number of things. Like one, as you're asking, like some different calibrations that I've had in sessions with people raised to my mind. This is the beauty about being a Evoke Method practitioner, and you've gotten to experience this. As you're the coach using this method to calibrate somebody on a wobble, maybe they have this thing in their head, I'm so fat, I'm so fat, I'm so fat, or like, I can't eat that, I shouldn't have eaten that, or whatever. As you work with somebody who's in that kind of mental and emotional turmoil about this topic, as you calibrate them and get them aligned with their inner being, and have them look at themselves and the situation and what they do or don't do through the eyes of source, they're essentially channeling in that moment. And what they say is golden. And when I have them aligned and I have them re-experiencing these things that didn't feel right before from this new connected place, like they are so descriptive in their experience and their ahas of what they see so clearly now and what they know about body and their food and working out or not, that like I essentially get to experience that with them. And like Abraham says, like people don't learn, you can't teach by just saying. People learn through experience, right? You can say something to somebody and then they can have it on their mind, chewing on it, and then have an experience and go like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But it's the experience. And the beautiful thing about the Evoke method is because you're just having that person focus so intensely, feeling this connection with source as they go back to a memory, for instance, they are having an experience that is just as good, if not better than real. And so some of the things I've noticed is, like, for instance, one of the client sessions that comes to mind is this one gal who was feeling kind of bad or guilty about the session was about the topic of working out and food, but we honed in on a specific experience she had in the last week where after dinner they had, where she's from, they call it pudding. The dessert is called pudding. And so, but it actually was bread pudding with like ice cream or cream on it or something.
Yummy.
And so we use that as the point of focus, right? Totally yummy. So good. Warmed up bread pudding. That's some cream.
Yeah.
Nom, 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 right? But she brought that up because she wobbled in that moment when she was even eating it. She was like having thoughts of, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, it's going to give me 5 extra pounds or whatever. The shouldn's and shouldn'ts. She's shitting on herself. And then after that, having the dessert, the whole rest of the night, she felt bad. And then for days later, she was like, I shouldn't have done that. And this is the thing I want to point out, because Abraham says this very clearly, and we all know it intellectually. We've heard Abraham say this, not about the food. It's about how you feel about the food and what your thoughts are, you're thinking, and that's what determines your feeling. Like, you shouldn't have that, and then you have it, or you shouldn't, like she even mentions, Abraham, like, let's say you're thinking about a food and you say, I shouldn't have that. And she's like, whether or not you have it or not, like, you already have the vibrational effects of that low vibration perspective on the food.
That quote is just like mind blowing.
Yeah.
So it's not even like, if you have, you already have the vibration of feeling guilty and bad about the food.
Just thinking about it. Yeah.
Still affecting your.
Yes. Whether you have it or not. That's why, like, so in my 20s, I was a personal trainer and aerobics instructor, and I worked with many clients and also talked to people in the gym. Like, there are some people that are heavier that go on really calorie restricting diets that really don't lose much weight because they haven't dealt with the thoughts and feelings that they have about their body and about food. And so it's just a vibration. Your body is one of the most magnificent mirror reflections of what's going on internally in your emotional and mental state. So and no shame around that, but it's really great to kind of be like honest where you are. I am where I'm at. These are the thoughts I have, and these are the feelings I have, and know that there's tools out there like the Evoke method or like meditation or different things that can help soothe that and actually change where you are through changing your vibration rather than modifying your behavior. So going back to this client with the bread pudding. So in this session, I had her, as you know, and Rhonda, a lot of the people that follow you may have already seen Evoke method sessions that you've put out there that you've done that are phenomenal. But what happens is I guide a client to close their eyes and feel into that thought and feeling that's there, that I shouldn't have this, I shouldn't have this, I shouldn't have had it, I shouldn't have had it. And again, I think she was feeling guilt or maybe even some shame. And this is a woman who's probably 130 pounds wet. Like, she, like, she doesn't even, like, so it doesn't even matter what your body size is. There's plenty of people out there who are thin. They're having these like compulsive thoughts that just don't feel good. So anyway, I got her from that feeling of shame or guilt and lifted her up to a feeling of, I think it was calm and peaceful and satisfied. And I don't guide her to attempt to try to feel those feelings. What I do is I guide her attention in a way that allows her to just release resistance and feel a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And then when I can tell she's feeling good, I ask her, what do you notice is the emotion you feel? And again, it's like satisfaction. I'm feeling appreciation. I'm feeling calm and peaceful. And so once she's in that state with her eyes closed, I guide her back in time to that day before dinner. I replace that old her with this her that's feeling appreciation and satisfaction. And I don't try to guide any outcome. I just want to know, when she's feeling this way, what does she do? Does she have the bread pudding or not? And turns out she actually does have the bread pudding. and she savors it and enjoys it without efforting. Okay, let me savor this. I should savor it because law of attraction. No. From an internal, pure, easy place of feeling appreciation, satisfaction, she noticed that, she would eat it slower. She would savor the flavors and the warmth and the cool and the textures in her mouth. And she did notice that, because I guided her through the whole experience, that she didn't eat the whole thing. She could tell, like, that was a perfect amount. One more bite, it would take away from how perfect I feel. One lesser bite would not get me right there. It's like she was literally like, just with her vibration, allowing the experience of eating the dessert to match her feeling, right? And then, of course, the whole rest of the night, just enjoyed and was fully present with her husband the whole rest of the night. No additional thoughts about the dessert, except if she were to think about it, it's like, that was so yummy, right? No like regret or anything like that. And so that's one of the yummiest things about having these Evoke Method sessions is when you just get into alignment, release the resistance of what's there and just get into alignment just because that feels good. And then go back in time and notice what would be different. Or you can even imagine going for the rest of the day. What do you notice? Are there any thoughts about food? What do you have for lunch? And they really get to see from a place from the inside out, when I vibrate this way inside, what different thoughts and behaviors end up being there. Most people, 99% of all humans, try to change the behavior without changing the vibration. And that's exhausting. And oftentimes doesn't give you any kind of results that you want. And this is especially generally not sustainable results, because you still have this vibration that once you like are exhausted from the effort or ran out of motivation, like you just snap back to where it's there in your vibrations.
And now a word from our sponsor. I always wanted to say that. Today's sponsor happens to be Gina Mallison. I'm super excited because a few days after this interview, Gina decided to offer our listeners a 10-day free trial into her signature program, Vibrational Mastery. Towards the end of this interview, Gina and I talk about Vibrational Mastery, of which I've been a member for almost a year. We meet twice a week, and if you can't attend live, you get to access the replays and all the previous replays as well. It's a phenomenal program. I've grown so much this year, and my life keeps getting better. People get in the hot seat just like at Abraham workshops, only this is on Zoom. To get this 10-day free trial, click on the link in the show notes or go to deliciousalignement.com/VM. V as in Victor and M as in Mary. If you do decide to sign up, make sure to use this link as it helps support the Delicious Alignment podcast and enables us to bring more interviews like this to you. Vibrational Mastery is only $99 per month, and there's no contract, which means you can leave the program at any time and return at any time. Again, simply go to deliciousalignement.com/VM or click the link in the show notes. If you're watching right now on YouTube, you'll find the sign-up info in the video description below. On another note, I want to make sure you know that my book, Delicious Alignment: How 25 Women Learn to Love and Transform Their Bodies Using Abraham-Hicks and the Law of Attraction, is available on Amazon. The book includes my 5 steps to loving your body, your food, and your life. We now have an Audible version available as well. The link to the book is also in the show notes, or you can go to Amazon.com and search my name. Now back to the interview, where we are talking about making friends with food, one of my favorite steps in the book.
Yeah, I'd love to touch on two of the points that you made, and the first one is in step 3 of my book is make friends with food.
Yes.
And I talk about how so many people that I work with, they're not even enjoying their food. And I always tell the story of this one lady, one woman I was coaching, private coaching, and she would say that she doesn't enjoy her food. Like, her husband was cooking all the meals, so she didn't feel that she really that it would be, felt like it would be selfish of her to say, well, I really don't like that. I want this, because he
Yes.
was making the meals. He was nice enough to make the meals, so she didn't actually feel like it was okay or
Like worthy enough to say, I
worthy
don't want
enough.
that, I want
Worthy enough.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. So we worked on that through the Evoke method as well, and when the light bulb goes off and I see people start to really enjoy their food, like
Yes.
really allow themselves, like there's even a little section in there in this chapter about orgasmic eating, because
Yeah.
that is really, like, we have taste buds.
Yeah.
We're meant to
Yeah.
enjoy our
Enjoy
food.
it. Like that's what even Abraham said. Food is here for you to enjoy it. Sure, there's a part of food that's here to like sustain your life, but really very, very little of that is really needed to keep you going. But the rest is for just enjoyment. Love it. Or like Viola talks about, like being able to, am I eating this food because I'm hungry, my body is saying I want some food, or am I eating this food because I'm in a gathering and I want to just eat food as part of this gathering, even though I'm not hungry? Like being able to give yourself permission to eat food because that's what you just feel inspired to do, not because you're hungry or not because it's been 4 hours since your last meal. Like when you allow the source to guide you, it's all over the place and it changes every day, rather than having like this like set regimen pre-planned thing. A source-led eating, like it's funny because I noticed like a few days ago I was eating quite a bit, and then the yesterday and today, like I'm just not inspired to eat very much at all, right? And allowing the ebbs and flows, not to be like, well, I was not eating very much the last couple of days, like why am I inspired to eat more now? I don't even question it. Like the allowing yourself to not even
That's
question
food
why.
freedom. That's food
Yeah,
freedom.
totally.
When you are no longer, because coming from, like my story, I'm not going to go into my story because maybe another podcast I will, but if you, it's all in here. It's all in here. But yes, like very, very much obsessed with food, what I'm eating, what I'm not eating, when I'm eating, when I'm eating,
the
just
amounts,
yes,
how
and
close to bed,
yes, and just really like that preoccupation all day long with
yes,
that subject, and of course the appearance of my
yes,
body and my weight.
yes.
So going back to behavior modification, the point, and I want to ask you, and I've been wanting to ask you this question for a while. I think I understand the answer. I'm pretty sure I do, but I want to hear it from your point of view. Is why does the Evoke method work so well? If it's not, we're not focusing on behavior modification, but say someone wants to get more fit, feel more vitality, or see some changes in their body. How does the Evoke method help with that if it is not addressing behavior modification?
Yeah, because think about it more like we're addressing the vibration, and when you have a different vibration, your behavior will almost always automatically be different by default. But it might not always be different, but very likely often it is different. But it's not because you're trying to change your behavior, or you're saying, let's say old behavior was A, and from this place of I'm a human and I want this result, so here's what I need to do. So my monkey mind or human mind thinks, well, in order to get that result, my behavior needs to be C, and my behavior is A, but I should have behavior C. And if I have behavior C, then I would get my result that I want. Well, that's going about it the action way without changing the vibration. And oftentimes, again, that action way will oftentimes aggravate that vibration. Anyway, so when you do this Evoke method or any effective calibration process, and you change your vibrational set point, and therefore your beliefs also change, or what might say better is you actually connect with the truth of what's going on. You connect, like, there's some people out there of like, if they're like, my belief is I'm fat, then they might say, okay, I'm going to try to believe that I'm skinny. No. This is more like changing an inherent, connecting with your knowing of what's true. My body is full of well-being. Well-being is flowing into my body at all times. The cells in my body know what they're doing. As I allow myself to follow my impulses and allow, my body will just take care of itself. There's nothing I need to do. So it's things like that. And you're not trying to make yourself believe that. This calibration process connects you with that inherent truth that your monkey mind does totally doubts and has these other beliefs going on.
Yeah, and this is why I was so excited to find you.
Yes.
And meet you. I started watching the videos of you doing the Evoke Method, and then I started, I transcribed them, and I started doing it on my clients, and it was so amazing. And then, yeah.
I was gonna say, Rhonda is like the main reason right now that there's other people too that were asking for like, are you gonna train people in this? But Rhonda was the one like beating down my door, like, come on. And so thank you to Rhonda for allowing this method to be spread to more people. But yeah.
So, but what was really great and is what you just said about how we create, we want to change the belief. So I really was before I met you, before I learned this work, I was working with people to identify the belief. And I would, just by having a conversation with someone, you can start to help them identify their own beliefs, because they're saying things that they don't even realize that they're saying. So
they're just saying this is how it is, and not realizing that's not how it is. That's their belief about how it is.
Right. And therefore the self-fulfilling prophecy. So then I would take them through a process to help to create a new belief, but not only just create that new belief in words, but also to feel it, assume the feeling. It's about assuming the feeling. And that was great. And I loved it. But then it's like another level when I heard what you were doing. Yeah. And I feel like this method then helps people, assume the feeling, feel the feeling, but connect to their inner being, like because Gina takes people through this process where you're using your imagination, and I feel like it's bypassing, and I often say that, bypassing the intellectual mind and going right to the feelings. You're using your imagination a lot in this exercise, and then you can actually experience, like I had a session with you the other day. I don't even know what it was about, but I think it was, I really experienced at the end of it, I really experienced how beautiful I am, like right now. Like,
right now. Like without anything changing. Yes. And that's the thing. It's like, you can get there by making like, here's my belief, and like, no, I'm beautiful. But like, oftentimes when people try to get to that true belief through just using their mind, their monkey mind's fighting them out, and they might kind of feel it or pretend that they're feeling it, but there's nothing like it. When the beautiful thing about this process, like Rhonda said, you're using your imagination, but you're actually using your imagination in this way that's completely off the topic. It's like you talk about the topic initially, get what the emotion is, and then you close your eyes, and like what comes up is what you actually see. You're not trying to manually think of images, but you actually receive images as guidance and make little shifts and changes that are completely off the topic. Like you might see a pink balloon and then have multicolored balloons join it, and then it flies off into the air. And then when I check with you what you're feeling freedom, or you're feeling like, I remember on the one where you're feeling beautiful, you ended up with this gigantic, beautiful vase of flowers on that table in a model home. And I wasn't like, let's have her think of a model home. No, you got there naturally, led by your inner being. As I asked you these questions, had you in this scene. And then when I asked what you were feeling, I want to say you said exquisite, like you just felt exquisite and then beautiful. And then I asked you where you felt those feelings in your body. And they were very visceral feelings. And then when you're feeling exquisite and beautiful, then when I guided your attention back to your body, you had this like, I am beautiful now. There's nothing I need to do. Yeah. So
like an affirmation, like, okay, or I'm trying to feel the feeling that I'm beautiful. I mean, I'm trying, no, I was experiencing it.
Yes, fully and completely.
Yes, fully.
And then even when I was like, come on, Rhonda, what about that thought about your arms or whatever? You'd be like, no, right? Like it literally, that's the thing with like affirmations, trying to use affirmations to get a feeling, because you already have this icky vibration activated. When you say those affirmations, it can, without your awareness, because you're thinking you're doing something good, it can actually act like keep that low vibration more dominant. Meanwhile, you're kind of fooling yourself that you're making, and then you're like, why don't I actually feel better once I'm done with the affirmations? Well, generally it's because you're trying to think your way there rather than feel your way there.
Yeah, and many of the teachers, I mean, Wayne Dyer, I wish I knew the exact quote, but it's like, assume the feeling, act as if, feel the feeling.
Yes.
And so yes, it's about the feeling.
Yes.
The Evoke method is just another tool that actually really helps you feel the feeling, and like
Fully.
so feel the feeling more than you ever had.
Yeah, more than you ever had. Yeah, it's like I feel like if everybody just gave themselves a treat and just had even just one Evoke session, just to, because like, you know, Ron and I could talk here until we're blue in the face, gushing over it, but until you like experience it, you don't even know. It's like, so like, what? How can I feel this way when I look at this topic? Like, I can't even, those old thoughts and old feelings are so ridiculous and distant, you know? So
again, good point. It's about experiencing it. Yes.
One other thing I want to talk about too, and like, if you don't mind, like in terms of like, there's kind of two stories. One is another, because you asked before of like, what are some of the benefits I've gotten in working with clients on this topic? I've had multiple sessions about this, and even from the first one, because, you know, a lot of times when I calibrate somebody and have them go back in time and re-experience it again, like I mentioned, like I don't really know what to expect. I know to expect something amazing, amazing insight, but like, again, I'm not guiding them to a certain behavior. I'm just saying, feel this way and what would be different about this situation. And one is like, this one client was feeling big and heavy or whatever, and was mentioning, because I asked her, what's a point in time when you felt that way? And she's like, oh, a couple of days ago when I went in my closet and I put on these pants and I put them on, they were tight and I just felt so awful, right? And so then I calibrated that feeling she got from that experience, had her feeling really good, and I had her imagine going back in time, waking up that morning, and what would be different, like when you've done your shower and you're ready to get dressed. And she's like, oh, I noticed I would have gone and put on my pajama, like she would have put on her pajamas. It was like this cute little, like she has these like the zip up pajamas with the head. It was like a narwhal, you know, those like whales with the like a unicorn thing. She's like, I realized if I feel this way and I go in my closet, I would have reached for that. Right. And been feeling good all day. So the thing is, like, when you're feeling a low vibration about yourself or your body, for instance, the funny thing is, like, this vibration will attract you to things or circumstances or whatever that are a match to that. So it's no wonder when she was feeling big, that when she went in her closet, she grabbed these pants that would accentuate this vibration she already had going on. When she was feeling really good, she'd walk in her closet, grab this comfy little cozy, cute, fun thing, put it on, and have an enjoyable day. You know, so again, it's not about, okay, so now what she needs to do is do that pajama thing next time. No, it's because it's not about the behavior, it's about the feeling. But what you notice when you feel a certain way, the behavior is different because it's coming from a different place within. One other story I want to tell is a personal one of so I've just, this last year and a half especially, I've just had really fun discoveries about my body and food and all that kind of stuff, exercise. And again, it's a continual evolution. Every year I'm like, oh, I have, like earlier this year, so I have my own coach that I see who's kind of like an Abraham-Hicks, right? So, you know, Rhonda, Oprah is what she goes, but without the H at the end, Oprah.
Ramona Gailey.
Ramona Gailey, look her up. She's amazing.
She's in my book.
She's in your book.
Yes. One of the 25 stories is Ramona.
Of course. Yes. So I meet with Ramona, she goes away, and Oprah comes out, just like Esther goes away, and here comes Abraham. And I had this experience early this year that was so significant, where like I had just been feeling this certain way about just myself and my body, and really just like I was probably maybe 10 pounds heavier than where I am now, maybe 15, maybe 10. And I remember I was like struggle busting it. Like I love attraction. How can I make this work? Right. And I just finally let it go. I came to peace with it completely. Like so much so like I'm going to eat whatever I want out of the kitchen. One of the wobbles I would have is like, I would get something out of the kitchen and Ian be like, you really going to have a cookie? Or, like something like that. And that would, well, him saying that was a reflection of how I felt. Right. And so when I stopped judging myself and I'm going to have whatever I feel inspired to have and just let it go. And I had a vibration where I ended up like, there was like 3 weeks straight where I was eating like, I'd go get the quarter pounder with cheese meal at McDonald's, or I'd have a Habit burger. I'd have my pasta. I even started, I think you know this, I started drinking cherry Cokes. That was like, I would never waste my calories on like a full, like I would always be Diet Coke only, right? But I was like, fuck it. Like, I feel like I want to have one. And I was enjoying it, not because I was trying to enjoy it, but because I was allowing myself, and it was like so good. And I lost so much weight. I got thinner to where I am even now. Like I was like, my smallest pants were like loose on me. I was like, are you kidding me? And so I had a session with Oprah, and I was like, tell me what's going on. Like, did I finally ace it? Did I finally de-link food and calories to my body? And she's like, yep. And it's so funny is after that conversation with Oprah, I had one with Viola about it too. And I just started poking around and asking more questions, kind of like, how did I do this? Because it was literally magical. Like the amount of food I was eating to lose weight, like blew my mind. So I started asking questions about it. And then it started kind of like, okay, I'm gaining weight again because I put my focus on it. Because what happened is I took my focus away from food, except when I felt inspired. And then my focus was just to enjoy it. And then I had this amazing body reaction. And then I was like, why is that happening? How is that happening? And then I started focusing too much on food. And then like, okay, am I reaching for this cherry Coke because I'm inspired or whatever? And even just those slight little questions had an effect on how that food felt for me. So like I mentioned, I'm just going through a journey. There's the ebbs and flows. Sometimes it ebbs and it's like, whoa, and then I focus on it and it kind of flows away, and then I release resistance, and then I have better experiences again.
Even with money, as
money
teach, and with anything, it's sometimes it's just like you got to step away. You got to turn the focus somewhere else because it's too much, low vibration and wonky stuff going on there. And I love that whole thing because I'm getting better and better at being more steady in my vibration. If I feel like the weight thing, the whole body image thing, start just turn away. Like right now I'm in like that place where I love walking every day and I love moving my body and just seeing, oh yeah, I'm toning up, and then sometimes it flips and then it's like, oh, and so it's time to look away. I love that. And really, this is a wonderful segue into, part of the reason why I have been just getting better and better at mastering my own vibration is your program, Vibrational Mastery.
Vibrational Mastery. Yeah.
So I'm not always able to meet every single time, but I can watch the replays, and I love the replays. But it's like Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you are doing Evoke Method, hot seats right then and there. We're discussing all of these topics. Sometimes we're talking about yesterday. Was it yesterday? We're talking about money. And it was awesome.
It's so good.
The perfect time for it was like, oh, how could that be more perfect? I was just having a little bit of a wobble. And then sometimes we might talk about food and weight and body.
Or family or friends or like literally any topic. Yeah.
any topic. So yeah, tell me a little bit about your program and what made you start it, and
Yeah.
just whatever you want to say about it,
Yeah.
because I am going to, I'm going to provide a link for it. It's just such a wonderful program if anybody's interested. So tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about it. We just have a little bit of time left, but
Yes. Yeah. So this program is like my baby. It's my baby. It I gave birth to it at the beginning of this year. It had been in my vortex for a while, and I knew it was in my vortex. I was getting antsy about it. Finally, the perfect timing happened at the beginning of this year. And really it was born from my desire to touch more lives. Yeah. Because so I'm a coach and I work with people privately, but I only have so many hours in the day. So that's one thing. I want this method and this technique. It's because basically how I see it is like, you got the teachings of Abraham-Hicks, which is like, like whole and complete. It is like everything, but there's a lot of people that listen to it and it makes sense logically, but there's still that, but how, like, how do I feel different when my asshole husband's yelling at me all the time? Like there's just like, how do I get out of this vibrational thing that I've got going on where I can't change? So I wanted, when I created the Evoke method, for me, I felt like my creation of this was an answer to the summoning of all these people that hear Abraham-Hicks, but still are like, but how do I do it? How do I actually apply this in these situations that never seem to end and they keep getting worse? And so I learned this method. I started doing it privately, but I wanted to touch more people. And I also, for my private clients, whether they are current or did it in the past, like there is such an importance, like momentum is so valuable and important. Like Abraham says, this is enlightenment or alignment or whatever is not like a college degree. You don't have it and then you're like, I just have it forever. Like you come in and out of it, and you really want to incorporate daily practices of connecting with source, of quieting your mind, whether it's meditation or whatever. But what I love about Evoke Method, because meditation is wonderful, so good, but there are situations that are happening in people's lives that meditation alone just can't hack it, because they just have these really strong beliefs and a lot of momentum in their reality that is connected to that belief, that they're like, meditation calms me down in most cases, but then this rears its ugly head. So the Evoke method really allows somebody to take this like really sticky vibration and finally have some movement on it. But it's a thing where it's not like, again, it's not like one and done, because there's so much momentum on that icky vibration. You're going to want to have another calibration, another one, and keep softening it, connecting more to what you really know, and have that vibration that you reach in the session start becoming your dominant thought, dominant when you're not in a session, right? And so there's a frequency that I don't usually like to use the word needed, but it's needed. There's a frequency of attention to your vibration and the calibrations that I'm so excited that this program I created really serves that need, because we meet twice a week, like you said, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 to 12:30 Pacific time. And for those people that can't join it, because I've got at least a good 10 or 15 people that they work during the day, they can't take the time off, so they catch the replays and they're just as valuable, because what you get to see in these is kind of like an Abraham-Hicks workshop where you get one person in the hot seat. We start off the calls with everybody sharing what all magical fun stuff has been happening, and we go, okay, let's get to the topic. Who has a wobble that they want to calibrate? And even though there's just one person in the hot seat with me, everybody watching, I just get chills, benefits tremendously from it, from a number of reasons. First, there's a vibrational exchange, right? Second of all, you get to watch me being steady, even when somebody's like, for instance, they could be bawling, and you get to see an example of how somebody can be steady when somebody else is in a wobble, and hold that vibration and call them to it with these methods. Second of all, third of all, I think the biggest benefit of this is being able to see time after time, it's never about the condition. It's always about your vibration. Like really being able to see that, because again, you listen to Abraham, you hear them say that, but to actually be able to witness somebody who's so twirled up in awful thoughts and feelings about something, and a matter of sometimes as little as 10 minutes later, they're feeling so connected to source that they see it from like sometimes a higher perspective than I could think of for myself on that. Plus, when I say, come on, feel that icky feeling, and they're like, no, like that doesn't, it's not relevant, it's not true. And so for people to be able to witness, like, yes, it is always about vibration, and your vibration can shift in a matter of 10 minutes on something that seems like a lifelong, unmovable thing. Like, it just opens up the world of possibilities and gets people focused on the right thing to focus on, which is their mood, and whether they change their vibration with a calibration from Evoke Method, or they do a different method that they found that's worked. That's what it's all about. It's about feeling really good for as long as you can, but being okay when you have a wobble, like Abraham says, Esther says, oh goody, a wobble, something to calibrate. Be excited that you've just discovered something in your life that you should calibrate, and that you've got an easy, accessible tool to calibrate it, and just watch your life get better and better and better. These contrast moments no longer become something that holds you back. It becomes something that can rocket ship you forward, because once you calibrate that contrast, boom, you just open up your world to something even more delicious coming in.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Beautiful, beautifully said. And I just want to add that, so I've been in the training program to do this, and I've been doing it for over a year now, the Evoke Method. So I just want to add that what I love so much about it is what you've taught us is, we really don't offer advice. It's not, we call it coaching, because what else are we going to call it? But we call it coaching, but we don't really offer advice. It's like all we're doing is we're a tool that's helping the person, calibrate up and then connect with their own inner being, which is themselves. And and the message that now they can tap in, and they get it themselves.
Their own guidance. They get their own guidance, and it's from infinite intelligence. It's from their connection to all that is. It's not from us. I love that you brought that up. We don't give it. Occasionally I'll give quote unquote advice, like, it might be good if you meditate every day, but I don't ever give advice on the situation or whatever. I might plant some seeds of this could be your insights, but
I mean, there is a little bit of coaching in there, of course, and I do that. I might mix in the coaching from my book, the 5 steps, but basically, my intention is I want them to connect with their own infinite intelligence, and because, like Abraham says, that's experiential. That's how you learn the most.
Otherwise, you're just another person giving it advice, and they're like, well, that sounds good, but this person said this, and this person said this, and blah, 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 mind, rather than teaching them how to connect, because that's how they'll get all their answers, is to learn how to release resistance and then get the answers that are specific to them and their perspective.
And it just feels so much more real and powerful, and it's a knowing. It's not like a thing, it's an experience. So having said all of that, I want to share that you can, if you're interested in the program, you can join it by going to deliciousallignment.com/VM, V as in Victor, M as in Mary. And I appreciate anyone, if you do want to join Gina's program, to go there and join it, because it supports this program, this podcast, and that helps us, that helps me to keep on going. I would really like to create more of these podcasts with wonderful speakers, guests like Gina. So it's deliciousallignment.com /VM.
VM is in vibrational mastery. Would love to have you. And I'll just say a few other things about this. So on that page, Rhonda will have a great description of the calls, the schedules, kind of what to expect and whatnot. But one of the things I love about how I created this program, and I have to say, I'll pat myself on the back, is that it's a month-to-month thing. First of all, it's very inexpensive. It's $99 per month. I don't know. Maybe in 5 years from now, and somebody listens to replay, it might be a different price, or it might be the same price, but it's only 99 bucks a month, and you get 8 calls per month, 6 with me. And in comparison, my hourly rate right now is $3.50 an hour. So you get me hours and hours every single month in this group setting, which I will say there's a big part of me that feels like a group what you get out of this group is even more powerful sometimes than when you get on a one-on-one. It's so good to be personally calibrated, but when you're in a group setting, there's just so much understanding that gets absorbed by you. But what I was going to say that I love about this group is a month to month. There's no like 6 months or a year.
No
you can come and go. There's no contracts. It's just you pop in $99, and if you're like, oh, I love it, you just keep it going. Or then you're like, oh, it's not for me. You just cancel, and then that's it. I have some people, because everybody's in a different place financially, right? So I've got some people who are like, okay, I can afford this, and then they're like, okay, it's a little tight this month, so I'm going to dip out, and they come back the next month or whatever. And so there's supreme flexibility in that way. But we would love to have you.
It's great. I love. So it's today. There's another one tomorrow, right? Or is
tomorrow?
Yes, Thursday. See. Yeah.
It's really good. And when you join too, the other great thing is, so when you join, so I just uploaded yesterday's today to the thing, and I in my file folder I have them all named, and so I was like, yesterday was like number 81 or 82 for the year. So when you join, not only do you have access to the live calls, if you can make that, you have access to all the replays for the entire year, over 80 calls, and they're all categorized by topic, whether it's money or body or family or whatever it might be. You can scan and like, ooh, that looks good. That looks good. There's also sound baths in there from one of my best friends and one of the members of the program, Karen Bernard, does sound baths. You sound bowls, yeah. Raven Chaplin does these amazing mastermind sessions where she like takes Abraham processes like the grid or the focus wheel, and the whole group does them together. And like, even until I watched Raven doing a focus wheel or good work, I didn't really, I've read it in the book. I'm like, I don't know. But when you see it done, especially as a group, the energy is phenomenal. And then you really get, oh, that's how this is done. And if you want to do it on your own now, you can. But like, there's just so much yummy good stuff.
And I have to add that it's really, and the same with like my groups. It's like the connections,
the community,
friends with people all over the country and even world, but the connections, especially going through that pandemic. Thank God, we had each other. I mean, that was amazing. And now it's like, I want to continue. I love those connections and those friendships and the unconditional love of the people in the group.
Yes. There's like in this group, there's zero judgment. There's pure unconditional love. There's support. There's encouragement. There's laughter. There's fun. There's joy. Like there might be some people out there like, I don't know. You can come and change your screen name and keep your video off the whole time.
Participate is optional. Participation is really what you want to get out of it.
Yes.
Yeah. So really beautiful group. I'm so glad I found it. I'm so glad I found you. It's been a blessing in my life.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Gina, for sharing your story with us and for spending this time with me.
Yeah, pleasure. Love you.
Love you too. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That's a wrap. Thanks so much for listening to my first episode of my brand new podcast, Delicious Alignment, Body Love, and Food Freedom. Make sure to go to deliciousalignment.com/podcast for the show notes and links mentioned in this interview and for future episodes. Speaking of future episodes, I've got wonderful guests lined up for the coming months, including more women who have used the teachings of Abraham-Hicks to learn how to love their bodies. Many will talk about how they attracted desired changes to their bodies with ease and flow, and many will talk about how they decided to love their current bodies as is, period. You won't want to miss their stories. Remember, it's your journey and you get to create it. Make it a delicious one.